So if you're a practical shooter, a position that you're most likely going to find yourself in sometime throughout your shooting journey is the prone position. Now, as a former semi-retired professional instructor, the prone position was always the foundation in which I would teach my students in, because it's going to offer the highest degree of stability and recoil management. However, based off of a shooter's body mechanics, mobility, I found that the prone position is also going to be sometimes the most uncomfortable position. So when the drills got a little longer, or they're just not used to that position for being in long periods of time, they essentially check out. And if you followed me for a while, one of the biggest things that I preach is making sure that when you build a position, that you make sure comfort is at the highest priority, because once you're uncomfortable, that's the only thing that you're thinking about, is how uncomfortable you are, and you're not really able to focus on small little specific tasks when it comes to delivering a very precise shot. So this video is going to be a little different than some videos that are on my channel, because one thing that I've always wanted to do is kind of integrate fitness into my channel. I'm not a fitness expert, that's why I have an expert talking about this that I'm with. I know this video is a lot longer, and that is why I have some chapter markers down below for you to be able to skip to in the case that the video is just too long. But let me know down in the comments if this video is something that you want to see more of, if you like it, if you didn't like it. I am all ears, and again, I just want to provide some education value to you guys so that you can increase your efficiency behind a rifle and maximize the capability behind your precision rifle system. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy the video. What's up, guys? I'm with my good friend Luke Krubeck here, owner of the Barbell Club, my local gym in town. And one of the things I wanted to start doing with him is trying to figure out ways that you guys as riflemen can essentially improve your mobility, flexibility for some of the basic positions that you find yourself as a long-range shooter. Specifically, I think because of this, we're going to start with the prone, because that's going to be the most stable for most shooters, and I would say the most common as shooters embark into their long-range journey, because it offers the greatest degree of stability. From my experiences teaching professionally, a lot of times you see a lot of discomfort with longer periods of time. Again, as a Marine sniper back in the day, 18 to 22-year-olds that we were training, they have no issues. Yeah. But as my clients got older, sure, their ability to stay in these positions for longer periods of time, you can kind of start to see essentially them check out in the middle of a drill because they're just not used to being in that position for a long period of time.
Yeah, distracted by the discomfort.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. We don't use it, we lose it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So let's have you facing this way, as if downrange is this way. Let's get you in prone, just so we can see what that looks like. Because one of the first things that we're going to notice in this prone position is the need for required spinal extension. Okay. Now, spine extension is something that we just don't get a lot of in our everyday life. Everything we do in life is inflection, right? We're in flexion, we're sitting when we're driving, when we're eating, when we're whatever else. We're in flexion a lot. And so improving the ability to create extension is going to be important for me and important for the shooter in this position, especially when we talk about thoracic extension. Lumbar extension is where we try to a lot of times overcompensate. Now, though I want extension happening there for this position too, this matters less to me than the thoracic spine does. So with what some of the things we're going to tease out with this prone position, I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the thoracic spine, and also maybe what's happening at the hip level than I am at the lumbar spine. This is going to be a piece of it. It's all going to be connected, but that's where we're going to start. So let's have you go to your back, and we're going to get you set up on this foam roller for some just mobility here. So I'm going to place this foam roller. Thoracic spine, you've got most of the extension piece that we need to focus on here. Again, I'm gonna focus here in thoracic or middle part of your back. So I'm gonna try to mobilize these segments. I'm gonna stay away from the low back, and I'm not gonna get up here into the neck, but we're gonna try to stick to this zone. So I'm gonna put this kind of right there at T12, kind of bottom of the thoracic spine. Go ahead and lay back on that for me. So with this mobilization, a lot of you guys may have seen this before or done something similar. Might be a review, but it might be something new to you and a few things to consider. So we're gonna keep the knees bent here, and that's gonna help us keep lumbar spine out of this a little bit. So I'm gonna have you keep ass on the turf, and go ahead and just support your neck and your head with your hand. Yep, there. So what I'm gonna have you do now, and actually come up just a little bit higher, one more, right about there. Okay, now we're on kind of the start of that bottom of the T-spine. Yep. So what I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you go over that into extension. So nope, just stay there, but now you're just gonna drop over it.
Okay.
Good.
Got it.
Now you're gonna come back out of that.
Okay.
And you're gonna do that 2 more times. So we're gonna essentially get 3 repetitions at these segments where you're at. And come up just a little bit more for me. One more. Right there, cool. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna slowly work our way up, kind of vertebrae by vertebrae. Good, and then as you drop into that mobilization, I want an exhale, because you're gonna find some segments that are gonna feel tight, and you're gonna wanna guard against them, and we need to make sure that we're kind of relaxed into it. All right, so there's the 3. Yep. So now you're gonna bring yourself down. Imagine that you're moving 1 vertebrae right there. Now you're gonna give me 3 repetitions there. Again, hands behind the head help support the neck, so the neck doesn't get fatigued and that we're not getting distracted by what we're trying to mobilize here. How's that feeling?
Good. I can feel it. Definitely.
Little restriction there.
Yeah.
All right, so come down, get them in. 1 vertebrae right there. Good. Let's go 3 times again. So we're just trying to work segment by segment and getting that. And you're going to find spots. You're going to find your kind of spot that sticks a little bit more than the others. It might be different for everybody. Time there. Good. Slide down 1 more slot. The foam roller is pretty large, so we're getting 2 or 3 segments probably, and that's fine. But I want you to imagine that you're doing 1 vertebrae at a time as you go through this. Cool. Awesome. Okay, let's go prone again.
Okay. Yeah, so I felt when I was at I think it was that first spot where it was the tightest.
Yeah.
Where as I did that first movement, I could just really, even after from the first repetition to the 3rd one, I could just feel it loosening up over
Start
time.
to give a little bit, yeah. And we all have our hinge points. We all have a certain spot in that spine that's going to want to move more than the others, right? We want to eventually get to where we got each segment that moves independently of the other. But what happens is we'll get, this one will move, and then these 3 will kind of move together. Okay. So we get these hinge points. What we're just trying to do is just clean that up a little bit on the extension bias that you have through each of those segments. So cool. Now let's talk about that from a movement standpoint. So let's get you prone. Okay. And we're just going to do just a prone press up here, okay? So I'm going to have you start flat in push-up position. So chest is going to be on the ground. And so what I'm going to have Phil do is I'm going to have Phil push up into extension, and I'm going to have him pretend like, go ahead and even start with forehead on the turf there. So just everything's kind of now neutral. I'm going to have him consider that he's going to pick up into like a cobra pose, if you will. But I'm going to have him imagine that he's doing it vertebrae by vertebrae. And so like we're picking up a pearl necklace, I want each pearl to come up 1 at a time. So I want to try to go segment by segment into that prone position. Now his hips are going to stay on the turf, but we're going to try to lift the whole spine starting from cervical spine or neck, working all the way down. So go ahead and do that for me, Phil, nice and slow. And just try to go piece by piece. So head can start, so you can kind of pick that head up a little bit. Good, and now we're going to slowly, and then so keep going. Pick the head up, keep going. Now start pushing with your hands and start picking up the upper body. Keep going, keep going. So try to go piece by piece here. You're going to have a tendency to want to move down here lower as well. Okay. But remember, I'm trying to facilitate extension here. So, and you can push up as much as what feels good to you. Keep going.
Before I start moving my lower body.
Yep. And then so as I'm watching Phil doing this, right, I can see that his major hinge point is right about here. And so this kind of, a lot of this stuff kind of moves together for him. If we can clean up how much segmental mobility he gets through that thoracic spine, he's going to feel a little bit more connected, and he'll even feel more comfortable in this prone position when we improve how that goes. So let's go all the way up, take it slow again. Now, as you hold that for a second, I want you to do the same thing on the way back down. I want you to consider going piece by piece, okay? Okay. So now we're going low. So we're going vertebrae by vertebrae, Imagine like you're lowering it all to the floor piece by piece. So Phil has pretty good extension in his thoracic spine, but he's kind of locked in there. He has a little hard time disassociating where the movement's coming from. So this is why it's going to be a great drill for him to do that. Cool. Okay. All right, so don't be sitting back on your heels.
Okay.
I'll have you just be tall in that position. There you go. Cool. All right, so what I want to do is I want to do a drill with you.
Okay. And this is gonna essentially treat kind of my spinal.
Yeah, I wanna give you some tactile feedback of moving each of these segments independently. Okay. So like if I was seeing you in the clinic, this is a drill I would do with you. To help you kind of find and feel what I'm talking about. Because as we were doing those prone press ups, we were kind of blowing past this stuff. And then kind of moving it at your regular hinge point, which is fine. You don't have issues there. You're not having pain, but even so, I'd like to see you having that ability to find those movements. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you kind of raise everything up, everything towards the ceiling. So like if you're doing cat-cow, right? And so we're going to bring all these segments up. Now I want you to tuck butt underneath more, and I want you to push these segments up towards me. There you go. Okay, so keep going up. Everything's up towards me. This segment, can you push up towards me more? Into my hand here. Into my hand. Good. Into my hand. Good. Okay, so now what I'll have you do, we're going to keep that position. Starting here, I'm going to have you only go away from where I'm pressing. Okay? So we're going to be dropping everything back down the other way now into extension. So let's drop this in right underneath there. So not the shoulders, just the spine. So pick that head up for me. More. Pick the head up, pick the head up. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Okay, so right there, hold that position. Okay, now right here, go away from me under that segment. Go away from me under this segment. Let that drop towards the floor, not without the shoulders though. Keep arms. Right here, push away from me. In that segment, keep going. Good. You can just let head be. Right here, away from me. Away. Hold right there. Move this segment away. Away, more. Head can stay up. Keep head up, keep head up, keep head neutral. Can you pick your head up?
Yeah.
Just keep head right there. Good. Okay, so go away from me here and where I'm pressing. Good. Away from me. Away. 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 Away, more. So now it's like you're sticking your tail feathers out. There you go. Good. Okay, now we're gonna go the opposite direction. So now come up towards me. Only where I'm at. Only where I'm at. Good. Right there. Hold. Up towards me. More. More. Good. Up towards me. Better. Hold right there. Underneath my hand. More. More. Good. Better. Right there. Up. Good. Up into me. Go. Good. Hold. Up. Up. Good. Up. Good. You feel how the harder I press, the easier it is to find that?
Yes.
Up. Good. Okay, so now I want you to drop everything into extension. Without me pressing, but again, try to go, let's start top to bottom. So dropping towards, all these vertebrae are dropping towards the floor now. So keep dropping, all of it, drop in. So I want to see this arch happen. I want to see the big arch happen. So this is the cow version of the cat-cow, right? So everything's dropping in. Keep going. Let it keep going, especially in here. Especially in these pieces. These are the ones that you have a hard time creating it at.
And I wonder if is it because I'm.
And then head will come up into extension because that helps this drop into extension a little bit. Cool.
But shoulders will just be locked.
I want most of the motion to come from here as opposed to changing position with the arms too much. So now let's start top to bottom again, but go the other direction. So now head will drop. You can keep dropping head a little bit because we're going to bring everything up. So drop head more. We're still working on this spot. Okay. Now just keep bringing everything up. Bringing everything up. Everything up, everything up. Keep going. All of it. Big up towards the ceiling. Cool. So there's some little drills that we can create to where you can feel where this is moving or where it's not moving from.
Okay.
So obviously I'm giving you a tactile cue on that. The way we'd work around that is with a band.
Okay.
So you're gonna kind of lock this down with your hands.
Okay.
And we're gonna put this over your back. I'm gonna try to put it kind of right in the main center of that T-spine that I want you to be moving from.
Yep.
So lock that in even more. Yeah, suck it up on those tight.
Okay.
Even more. I want really, really tight. And then, so let it go, let it give into it. So let the band kind of bring you down, right?
Yep.
And then work on pressing up into that zone.
And that's by kind of like the cat-cow again?
Yep. But I'm trying to just isolate this area a little bit. Cool. So you're pushing in that band, you're feeling that resistance.
Yep.
Now, from that same spot, you're going to let the band win and help pull you into extension in that area.
Okay.
So right there, everything moved here first.
Yep.
So again, try to isolate movement there where we've got the band.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. So let the band.
Yep. Let the band win and kind of help cue you into where you're moving from. It's a little better.
Because my first instinct is to let that lower back drop.
Yep, exactly. Right now, yeah, you're talking about your hinge point, man, and your hinge point's right at that like thoracolumbar junction, where thoracic spine and lumbar spine meet. That's kind of like your spot.
Okay.
So again, like it's fine, like that's where you move from, and because that's where you've kind of positioned from for so many years and so many repetitions, which is fine. I don't need to necessarily change the position you're in when you're in prone, but I would like to apply more mobility upstream and downstream of that area so that it doesn't become a problem. Does that kind of make sense?
It does, yeah.
So
because essentially is if it's reused over and over again, eventually that's gonna.
Well, and then where else is it going to show up?
Yes.
In life, right?
Yep.
So when you would benefit from moving in those other segments, that's your hinge point. It's essentially going to that compensation might cause some other unwanted stresses. So again, it's not a problem now, but like again, me, the physical therapy practitioner, me can't like not see that and like not want to treat that a little bit. So we're kind of rabbit holing a little bit on what we're doing for the video, but for you, I think it helps having that understanding that we want those segments to move kind of piece by piece.
I mean, I think it's good because I would say that I am relatively flexible when it comes to the prone, but I mean, if you're able to still identify, for me, some future or potential pain points, right?
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Right. So right now you're moving a lot cleaner through that segment.
Yep.
Right? And you should feel that difference. And this stuff's still moving too, and we need that too. But again, starting the motion where you're cueing yourself right now.
Yep.
So now let's do test retest, okay? So let's take the band off you and let's go back to completely flat push-up position.
Okay.
And let's try that prone press up again.
Okay.
But where we start moving from here first, and it doesn't just all blow past and get into that guy, to your usual.
Now, is it for my, like, it doesn't really matter with my lower body position, how it's set up? Okay.
No, I'm fine. So like you can go wide or externally rotated, kind of how you are in prone, I'm fine with that. But again, as you go this, go slow, and let's try to start from the top down.
Okay.
Let's see if it feels any different to you. Now as you let down, do the same thing. So now we're going to go from the bottom to the top, kind of piece by piece. So go to elbows or forearms instead of hands.
Okay.
And now I just want you to do it from there. And then back down.
I mean, I can definitely tell the difference.
Yeah.
Like I really feel more of all of my spine versus that, like you said.
Yeah, it's taking longer.
Yep.
Like you're starting some movement here now.
Yep.
You still, like, after you start moving, you still kind of jump to this spot.
Yeah.
But you're getting a little bit more here than you were.
Yep.
So, all right. So while we've got you in this prone position, let's talk about another exercise we can do to just improve kind of our endurance.
Okay.
And some of these scapular stabilizers and some of these other positions. So, are you familiar with the Superman exercise?
Superman. So.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And so what I'm going to have you do is go ahead and put arms up again, but just keep them on the turf.
Okay.
On the turf. Everything can relax here for a second. I'm going to have you go thumbs up for me. That thumb up position is going to help me tie into low trap and some of these other positions a little bit better. So we've kind of got you. I'm going to go a little bit wider into a little bit more of a Y position with your hands.
Okay.
Cool. All right, and then so on this one, I'm just going to have you simultaneously, we're going to lift lower extremities and upper extremities.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be crazy high. I just want you to clear the turf. I'm going to have you hold for 3 seconds and then slowly let back down.
Okay.
And try to have them all return at the same time. Rest forehead on this. That better?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, let's go again. You feel it here?
I do.
Give me 2 more. So right now I've got him doing that with just a little bit of a head support so we can kind of tune in on this low trap, maybe a little cleaner. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move that. So I'm going to have you go forehead to the turf, and the head will lift with everything else now.
Okay.
So now we're going to add the head piece to that lift.
Okay.
We're going to go upper and lower, kind of together, creating that extension piece. We're still going to feel that low trap. Glutes should be engaging too. You feeling that?
Glutes are engaging.
Cool.
Yes.
He's feeling glutes because we're creating hip extension, but he's also feeling them a lot too because we've got him in external rotation, which will shorten that muscle and make it even more available. The external rotation piece I've got him in is because that's where he hangs out when he's in that prone position, in that wide externally rotated position so that he can maneuver a little better, so that we're going to do that drill in a similar way. 3-second hold, and then coming down control. Cool. Nice, let it rest. So that's a drill that we can start tuning in on just to that overall extension piece. It gets some of those smaller, more intrinsic muscles that are involved in those little extension moments kind of in the game and firing a little bit better. Now with the spine, I also want to tease out rotation.
Okay.
So we have several ways that we can do this. That's what I was saying when you were talking to me about this earlier. I'm like, well, how long you want the video to be? 25 minutes?
Yeah, we can do 25
an hour?
minutes. Yeah.
2 hours?
Yeah.
Because like the rotational component, man, there's so many ways that we can start this.
Yeah.
And we can introduce it, and then so many ways we can build it.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
The rotational piece is important, especially when we're talking about if something's going to be functional, if we're going to put that terminology on it.
And I think that's the goal is to for these movements for the guys to be functional, right? Because again, holistically, when we attach ourselves to a rifle, not only do we want to be present in the moment, but like how does that also carry into our everyday lives, right? Especially if we can tie both of those together, where they're when they are going to the gym, hopefully if they are keeping some type of physical activity, they're not only allowing themselves to be better or more capable behind a rifle and more comfortable, but now like everyday tasks, right? Of just basic chores of throughout the day.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, if we're going to throw function on it, it's got to either create or resist rotation. In my opinion. Okay. So I think that rotational component matters a lot for our general function as humans. And then again, the ability to create it and also resist it, because the resistance of certain motions is going to show up when we shoot too, right? We need to be stable enough to be connected, like you say, to that rifle, etc. So on the rotational piece, we're talking a lot about the thoracic spine already. The thoracic spine is going to be your primary place of rotational movement in your spine.
Yep.
And I ask a lot of people a lot of time, I'll have them stand there and be like, so just rotate.
Yep.
And it's before we've had any of these conversations, but I'll say, okay, like, what's your guess? Like, how much rotation do we get in the lumbar spine?
Yeah.
And people are doing, they're like, oh, I don't know, like 90, 100 degrees. Yeah. And I was like 4 degrees.
Yeah.
Total.
Yeah.
We get like 2 degrees to the right, 2 degrees to the left of like true rotation in the lumbar spine.
Okay.
So our low back is not really designed to rotate.
Mm-hmm.
So that means upstream, and we have to make sure the thoracic spine is doing his job for rotation. So there's a couple drills that we can do to help create that. The first one's super basic, and this might be helpful for a lot of people that are tight in that area, just to feel it before we transition to other more upright or half kneeling positions and things like that. So what I'm gonna have you do, I'm gonna bring another one of these over because I wanna keep your head supported.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have you laying on your left side facing the camera. So again, for me, if like right now I'm trying to tease out thoracic spine.
Yep.
So if I can keep him a little bit more neutral in his neck, then it's gonna help us, again, tease out more of what we want here. So I'm gonna bring this foam roll in front of him, and we're gonna go leg on top. So relax for me, bro. Relax. Guys, these snipers are so tight. All right, cool. Where's the trust? All right, so I've got this leg up for a couple reasons. I've got him into hip flexion, and the reason for that is that's gonna help me kind of lock out his lumbar spine so that we can focus more of the movement where I want it in your T-spine, right? Yep. So what I'm gonna have you do is have arms out in front of you. We just call these like open book rotations. So let the head stay heavy on the foam for me. Then what I'm gonna have you do is you're gonna keep leg into the foam roll, okay? Because you're gonna keep downward pressure on that foam roll.
Downward pressure.
And now you're gonna open up slowly, but I want the motion to happen here in your back, not just opening your shoulder. The shoulder's gonna open too, but I need it to primarily move from here. Okay. And head can move with it too. Okay. So you'll kind of follow with your eyes, follow your hand as it opens slowly. And you're just gonna go all the way.
Yep.
Good. And then you'll close it back. I'll slide these this way just a little bit. There you go. Yeah, so when I do that, when I focus on, because again, when I do this, even when I was going to the gym, again, not knowing the basic mechanics, I would typically just roll with my elbows first, or my shoulders first, right? Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so one of the workarounds on that, and I'm glad you brought that up. Yep. One of the workarounds, if I have someone that has a hard time not just prioritizing shoulder movement here, I'm gonna have them take the arm and sweep above the head and over. So let's do it that way. Okay. So you're gonna bring it into flexion. Yep. Okay. And then you're gonna rotate. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. And then sometimes that'll help us cheat that. But see how we lost this? Yep. We lost that connection. So come back. Establish that and keep that. Now, it doesn't matter to me how far you go, especially on the first couple. What matters more to me is that you're going to feel like you can gain on it little by little as we start getting some movement there and that starts giving in. So stop before you feel like you've lost all connection here. And that should all happen simultaneously. So move more with the arm. More. Good. Keep going. Keep reaching. Keep reaching. And that arm will just kind of end up in the same open position that it did before, right? And then it'll close back off. So we can sweep like that, or we can go open the way we did the first time. So let's just go the way you were doing it the first time, because it wasn't really a big issue for you. Keep going. Keep that pressure there. If you're doing this drill and you find that you have tightness here, again, we're gonna have you do reps of this. I'd probably have you do like 15 aside. You're gonna notice that you can gain on it as you go. So it doesn't have to be maximum on the first one. It's more about quality over quantity, as it is with most things. And so Phil starts to cheat here a little bit by dropping this leg. Feel that. And so I'm gonna have him try to keep this hip flexed at about 90 degrees. Again, that's gonna help us keep lumbar spine out of it and focus more of where we're wanting in his more upper middle back. For a lot of you guys, this one's gonna feel good to you. You're gonna notice a similarity for any of you that have maybe been to the chiropractor. He's put you in similar positions like this when he's adjusting your lumbar spine. and we call it like a gapping position. So what's also happening here, which is killer, is that I'm getting some space and some opening between these lumbar segments. So in this position, as he goes in that rotation, we're going to get some of those segments clearing a little bit, and it's going to give you some space and maybe a little bit of relief on any low back tightness you might have as well. Because you're probably noticing that, right? You're getting a little bit of a stretch there too.
Yep.
The drill is to prioritize movement where we want it in the thoracic spine, but by default, you're going to get some mobility work out of that lumbar spine as well. So let's switch sides, just to see how it compares.
Let's flip it this way.
Either way?
Yeah. Yeah, the initial opening, again, parts of my body that's not used to moving like that, like I can feel it. I want to say cramp up, but tight. It's tight.
Yeah.
All right. Same thing, leave with my eyes. Yeah, so like that initial movement there, this is super tight now.
Yep.
After that. And what's nice about this is can easily be done at home, right?
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah. So like low back pain patients that I've treated over the years, this is a drill that I'll have them do prior to getting out of bed, because they can just lay on their side, pillow under the head, pillow under the top leg. So we've got some position accountability, and then have them just go through a few rounds of these just to loosen things up before we're getting moving. If we fight any spinal stuff, it seems to be a little bit more stoked up in the morning, right? So getting a little bit of rotation can kind of help fast track the whole morning stiffness thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of, especially competitive shooters who jump out of bed, I mean, those guys on the weekends, very first thing they start shooting right at about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And none of them are getting a morning workout in, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, being able to spend a couple more minutes.
And I just think some drills, and like we're going to tie this in with a movement that will connect this as well as opening the hip. That will be a good one for you guys to take and carry forward, so that like, hey, if I need to go from doing this to now I need to be an athlete, we'll give you a little bit of a mobility drill that'll kind of check several boxes. So while you're here in this position, you can hold there. I'm going to grab a band. We can add a little resistance to this as well, because the interesting thing about resistance is everyone thinks, well, resistance makes it harder, but resistance also gives us feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it can be a teaching tool as well of like where you're moving from and how. Yeah. So I like to add a band to this. So you're just going to hold the band, and you're going to do the same thing, but you're just going to open up now against the band.
Okay.
All right. So you can choke up as much as you need, or give it as much as it needs.
Resistance gives us feedback. That's a life lesson too, right there. Bud.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
All right, so you want me to hold as far out for this one?
You're just gonna have to gauge that. Yeah. You'll probably need it choked up a little bit more, because I'd like you to start with resistance a little sooner.
Okay.
But not so much that you can't rotate.
Okay. Yeah.
And you might need to even go single ply. You can hold a double ply in your right hand, but grab it just single ply on this one. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Keep that accountability there. Don't lose that. So you will get a little bit more workload into the muscles that are going to assist us in this rotation.
Yep.
But again, it'll give you a little bit of feedback and maybe find where you're moving from first. Because you'll notice it when you add a resistance band, you're going to notice if you're cranking out too much with the arm and shoulder.
Yep.
So we want to feel most of that fatigue more in your trunk.
Yep.
Than we are in the
arm and shoulder.
In the appendage, right?
Okay.
So.
Now, so just for everyone, so when I start to cheat with this knee here, that means am I past my flexibility point, or?
Yeah. So yeah, when I was talking about that he was kind of cheating or losing, he was losing accountability to this position of where we had him.
Okay.
And again, that's just to keep lumbar spine out a little bit.
Yep.
So sometimes more is just more. So it's not important to me necessarily how far you go in the beginning.
Yep.
We'll be able to gain on that with time. So we want some purity in where the motion is coming from as well.
Okay.
So the minute you feel like you're losing those positions, you can't maintain them.
Yep.
That's kind of your current end range.
Okay.
If that kind of makes sense.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So let's since we're on this rotation gig.
Okay.
And with the position we have here, let's tie this into a more like, I'm on the run. I need to be athletic in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So let's get into that. Let's go into a world's greatest stretch.
Okay.
You familiar with that one?
Nope.
Okay. So let's ditch all this stuff here.
Okay.
And
still in this position.
No. I'm actually get you up from there.
Okay.
But I'm gonna have you can start in half kneeling if you want, but you're gonna, whichever leg, we're gonna do both sides, so I don't care which one. But you're gonna get one leg forward, the other hand's gonna be down on the turf.
Okay.
That's the position I want you to get in right now to start.
Okay.
And then I'll kind of cue you where I'm having you go from there. Cool. All right. Superhero landing, right?
Okay. Yep.
All right. So I want this back leg to be kicked into extension. So get that leg straight. Yep. Knee straight and everything. Cool. Keep going. So right there, this is kind of our starting position. So on Phil's back leg, I want his knee straight, and I also want his glute engaged. I want you to activate that glute muscle.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And I want the knee straight, so I want quad and glute engaged, because that's going to keep this hip so that we can, because this is going to be like a buy one, get one, get one.
Okay.
We're going to help open the hip. We're going to help open the shoulders. We're going to open the thoracic spine.
Okay.
This is a killer one. They call it world's greatest stretch for that reason. It's going to be a nice way to just get things ready to roll.
Yep.
So what we're going to do now we're going to add the rotation piece that we were doing. Okay. And we're going to go arm here. And then you're going to open up into rotation. Keep the extension on that back leg. Rotate here. So now as he rotates, we're opening up the outer portion of this glute. He's going to feel stretch on the front of your right hip. Feel that?
Yep.
Cool. And now we're working a little bit of that rotation piece. Now as you rotate, give good downward pressure into the floor with that hand. Now close it off and go again. Give me 5 of those. Keep that extension piece. Can you edit the spot where I said I was going to put my finger in your butt? We're just trying to get views, guys. Good. Does it feel like the world's greatest stretch, bro?
I feel like I'm getting a workout just with stretches.
Right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's switch sides. That's 5 or close to it.
Okay, so set up here.
Yeah.
And then from here, this leg.
Yep, back leg's extended, knee straight, glute engaged.
Glute engaged.
Yep. That glute engagement is going to help open up that anterior hip, which we're going to talk about that too as we start getting more into the hips for this prone position. Good. Don't lose accountability of this back leg.
Okay.
Keep glute. Nice. One thing I always note too on this, as he rotates, I always want people, I want palm forward how he has it, and you're trying to keep a straight line through the arms as much as possible. Back leg stays engaged, so the knees straight, hips are straight, and trying to rotate from here as much as possible. Okay, cool. So with this, after I do a couple slow rounds, I like to do some with speed.
Okay.
So let's go other side. Let's switch again. And now I'm going to have you do 5 rotations, but quick.
5 rotations, but quick.
Yep. Right. So everything's the same. Get organized. Get that back hip engaged.
Okay.
Knee straight. Kind of downward pressure through the down arm.
Yep.
And you're going to rotate 5 times fast. Open up. Good. Open. Good. Keep the back leg. Engage that glute. Knee straight. Good. Drive through the down arm. That's it. Good. Switch sides. 5 again. Back legs engage. And the heel will be lifted on the back leg too, by the way, if you can't see that from that camera angle. Downward pressure in the down arm. Back leg straight. Let your knee bend more in the front leg. That's it. Good. Nice, man. So you can, there's a whole bunch of different ways we could do the world's greatest stretch like this. The way that I had you do them slow and then fast. I'll also do them in a series where I have people do them with like an alternating walking lunge, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead and stand.
Okay.
So you would just step out into a lunge, get into position, do your 5 rotations. Go ahead and do that.
Here.
We'll do them relatively fast. So get organized. Okay. And go. So step
into the lunge.
Right into it. Right into your stretch.
Right into the
Get everything organized. 5, 1. Faster.
5.
Yep. 5 times. Yep.
5 times.
Back leg straight. Good. Get your 5. After the 5, you're going to come forward like you're coming out of the lunge. Good. Now the other leg. Good. So we can do this traveling as well. So this is a nice way to do like, a series of them. You do like 10 of them, for 5 times each side. Always doing 5 rotations. Pick a number. It doesn't matter. If you want to do more, you want to do less. But we could do that in a sequence and just kind of get it moving as well. Okay. The world's greatest stretch, man. I use this one a lot. Like, I don't look like it, but I'm a golfer. I love to golf. Okay. And if I need to go from not doing anything to like I need to be athletic now, this is my go-to for like golfing. Okay. Or the things where I need to have things available. That's so important, right? Okay. So it's an important piece of the puzzle, I think, to add the rotation to open the hips and all that kind of stuff. It's going to show up everywhere, like we're talking about with rotation, but especially for the position we're talking about for shooting and you're prone. Yeah. This has a place in all of that too. Yeah. So after doing all that, let's just get you in your prone and let's just see how it feels. Okay. So. Just in like, if you're just in your general prone. So now already, when I look at Phil, and we kind of assessed this before we started the camera rolling because we were talking about some of these positions, but right now, he already has a little bit more uniformity here. This looks more free to me, and not as flat as it was when we first started. You can still see that his is kind of his biggest hinge point, but it kind of has to be based on where he's propped up. But I like that there's a little bit more movement here. Yeah. And how does it feel to you?
I can feel.
They just settled in a little easier?
Yes, yeah.
And so that's what I like for this is like, Phil's so used to this position. It's not a hard position for him to be in, but if we can improve it and take some of all the movement and stress is here and get that a little bit more upstream and downstream from that area, it's going to even give him more longevity and a potential for less soreness afterwards from extended time in that position. So, and that's just from,
That's just the prone position, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's great. I think, again, with how many repetitions I have getting down into the prone, countless hours of being in that position, maybe there's things I overlooked in terms of my mobility, flexibility, right? And, fitness in the military is not necessarily something that like all of our leaders had, the where to or understanding that you have, right? And so it's kind of just like, hey, do this, and then you just start rolling into it, right?
And it works.
Yeah, it does.
It works. But like I would say, man, like if we can, and in the fitness realm or the movement pattern world, as I work with a lot of people, I get a lot of response from people when I give corrections. They're like, "Oh, I've been doing this all wrong." Yeah. I know you haven't. You've been doing it. Yeah. Life's about doing things. And it's about movement, and in compensation to movement is what makes us human. It's what helps us work around injury and do things. But I would say it's less about right and wrong. It's more about more efficient, less efficient.
That's right. Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I just recently I was at a speaking engagement, and it was specifically with hunters, and that's I changed my verbiage as an instructor from like, hey, these are not really bad habits. We're just talking about inefficiency, right? Yeah. And the goal is to be as efficient as you can with your rifle system, right? Or just in everyday tasks, right? I think that we can kind of agree to just to, prolong our fitness, our body, and at the end of the day, just make sure that, we're not at the doctor's or, on a crane any too soon
100%,
in our life.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. And at some point, we all have our limitations. We all have our restrictions. myself included, I teach this stuff all day, but like, you know, as a competitive bodybuilder and powerlifter, like I'm never going to be the golfer I could be tuning into those sports as heavily as I do, right? So, but even so, you know, I just try to do the things to be an athlete so I can still show up and do the things that I want, knowing that at some point you're going to be robbing Peter to pay Paul a little bit with some of those things. But we all have the compensations, we all have the things that we're lacking, the restrictions we have. But I think having awareness of them and then trying to tune in on them a little bit can definitely improve the performance aspect outside of the gym. And that's the hope, right? Is that everything that we do in here eventually shows up out there. Right? We want those functional gains as well.
Cool.
So,
hey, I appreciate your time. So to summarize everything, really, you know, let's say that someone that's watching this video is like, okay, hey, I know I struggle in the prone. First 3 movements that I can get off the bat, whether it be just at home or the next time I'm at the gym for a warm up, stretch, or even a cool down, would be that we kind of what we started with, right? With kind of like that a push-up press, you know, focusing really on that spine.
Yeah, I think even before that, Phil, I would, you know, we're going to do another segment, right, talking about the prone position and tying in hips a little bit more. We touched on the hips a little bit with the world's greatest stretch and some of that too, but I think this is a starting point, some general extension mobilization for the thoracic spine, like we started with.
Just started with the foam roll.
Let's get those segments moving. Let's mobilize them passively, and then from there, let's see if we can then get them moving. Kind of thinking segment by segment. We want to tease out the movement so that we don't just move all at one spot at one time.
Cool.
And that can be done with kind of the different cat-cow variations we did. We started with the prone press up just to kind of see as a starting point, but then we ended up going to the cat-cow, and then we used the band as a cue to try to move through those upper segments a little bit sooner. And improve that segmental mobility for you. But I think some general mobilization on the foam roller, and then some drills to get movement happening first where we want it, and with you know the feedback from the band. And then we added the rotational component, because you're going to have an easier time creating extension in the thoracic spine, I believe, if it's also good at rotating. Because it has to extend to rotate. So the two are very much connected. So that's why we went into the sideline open book thoracic rotations, right? And then we kind of transitioned that to world's greatest stretch. We also did it with the resistance bands for some feedback. And again, there's 3 other versions of that I could show you, kind of at the wall, in half kneeling, and some other positions to create the rotation. I think we'll get into those 2 on the next video, because those will also help tie in hips a little bit. And open up hips. So I think just start with the general idea is that your thoracic spine, the middle part of your back, right here on Phil, thoracic spine, we need these segments right there. I need those to be able to extend, because we're always in flexion. I need them to extend, and I need them to be able to rotate.
Extend and rotate.
If we can get extension and rotation happening in your thoracic spine, prone position is going to feel better. You even noticed it. So, and especially for you guys that aren't used to that position and have some struggles right now. And the last thing I'll tie into this is, and you had mentioned this, and when you mentioned it, I already knew that it was going to be the answer, but I said, where do guys complain? What's hurting them when they're in this position? And he goes, neck. And I go, right. So if your thoracic spine does not have the mobility we're talking about, your neck has to do it all. So then that neck gets tired and you get pissed. So if we can improve what's happening downstream from where your trouble area might be your neck, if we improve downstream at the thoracic spine, you're probably going to notice a little bit more freedom upstream as well.
I don't want to continue this on, but it's like when we feel an injury, you know, over the injuries that I've had over the course of my lifetime, you know, like let's say a shoulder, right? Even though we feel like that's a pain point, it's stemming from somewhere else, you know, especially after doing my physical therapy with you a couple times, right? Of like, okay, hey, this is making up for something that's lacking. And that's, again, for shooters that are in the prone, their immediate pain point is the neck, but it's, again, stemming from elsewhere.
So much of what we do in the physical therapy world, or even in the fitness world, or at least it should be, is kind of based on what we call regional interdependence, which says, your problem is in your neck, but let's see what's going on downstream or upstream from that problem area. Because it's not always, but often, your area of pain isn't necessarily the root cause.
For sure.
Sometimes it's secondary in nature. So there's a bunch that goes into it, and we don't want to get too into the weeds, but to not overcomplicate it, just be thinking, hey, what's my thoracic spine doing? Let's get that guy into some extension and some rotation, and let's see what it improves.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah,
I'm excited
pleasure.
for this series for these guys, and for everyone that is watching. I'm going to link all of Luke's social media, his YouTube, Instagram, and the Barbell Club down into the links below. And so if you're ever in the Cody, Wyoming area, check out the gym. It's one of a kind. Enjoy working out here. Enjoy the atmosphere that you build around here.
Absolutely, man.
And we look forward to the next episode, dude.
Yeah, be killer.
See you guys, and you guys know you have control.